Raider Nation, for the first time in what feels like forever, we actually have a real conversation on our hands. Who is the best player on this Raiders roster? And I'm not talking about a popularity contest or just throwing names around for the hype. I mean a legit football-based evaluation of who is truly the most impactful, most valuable, and most dominant player wearing the silver and black heading into the upcoming season. And I know what some of y'all are probably thinking right now. Come on, man, it's obviously Max Crosby. Or maybe you're on that Brock Bowers hype train. But I'm here to tell you it's not that simple anymore. This roster has depth, talent, and legit contenders across multiple positions. And because of that, I decided to do something I haven't done in a while. I sat down and ranked every single player on this roster, from 91 all the way up to number 1. From the bottom of the depth chart to the top dogs in Vegas. From the rookies and UDFA letters fighting for a chance to make the practice squad, to the franchise cornerstones already making noise league-wide. But before I break down the full list, I want y'all to understand how I approached this. This wasn't just about raw talent or highlight reels. I based this ranking on 3 key criteria: overall impact on the Raiders' positional value in the modern NFL and projected performance for the upcoming season assuming full health. So if you're wondering why someone like Christian Wilkins still ends up high despite an injury concern, that's why. Because if he's healthy, he's a monster. And when it comes to positional value, let's be real, a top-tier cornerback or left tackle is going to carry more weight than, say, a solid rotational safety. That doesn't mean those other guys aren't important, but in a league where matchups are everything and margins are rather thin, value by position matters. And look, I know some people are going to nitpick. Why is this guy at number 70 and not 50, or how can you put a punter in the top 5? I get it. That's what makes this fun. This is meant to spark conversation, to get the fan base thinking, to shine a light on some players you might be sleeping on. Because I promise you, there are guys on this roster right now that are ready to explode, players the national media isn't even talking about, but we see them grinding in camp, flashing in preseason, or standing out on tape in ways the box score never tells you. Starting at the bottom, number 91, we've got Carter Bradley, quarterback, undrafted free agent, long shot to make the team. And honestly, most fans probably haven't even heard his name, unless you've been paying super close attention to minicamp, but that's part of the process. Not every player is going to make the final 53, but they still matter in this evaluation, because every name on that offseason roster tells a story about where this team is heading. And right above him, we've got a mix of depth pieces, experimental players, and international program standouts like Lucky Tosi, who literally switched from the defensive line to the offensive line. That type of position change is no joke. It speaks to versatility, athleticism, and a willingness to do whatever it takes to find a role. Then you've got guys like Anthony Tank Booker bringing size and aggression at defensive tackle, and Skirhari Franklin, a big-bodied wide receiver with some intriguing tools but limited top end speed. These are the types of players that might not turn heads today, but could end up being those preseason darlings you hear about in August, when someone makes a crazy grab or a big-time sack in a scrimmage. And I'll tell you this, if there's one sleeper in this bottom third tier that I'm quietly rooting for, it's Mello Dotson. This kid made some noise as an undrafted player, and while he's not a household name, he's got the kind of work ethic and raw instincts that can absolutely earn him a roster spot if he shows up in camp. As we keep climbing, we start to enter that developmental but intriguing zone. Players like Dalton Wagner, Yulen Smith, and Caleb Rogers. These are guys the coaching staff clearly sees something in. Maybe they've got the physical tools. Maybe it's their attitude, their versatility, or just their willingness to grind through the reps. And this new Raiders regime, led by Pete Carroll and John Spytek, is looking for exactly that. They're not trying to build a flashy team full of divas. They want competitors, dogs, guys who will fight for every snap and push their teammates to be better. When I look at players like Jawar Joyner and Quadir Ishmael, I see versatility and a willingness to adapt. Joyner is one of the UDFA letters that I genuinely think has a chance to sneak onto the roster, especially if the team commits to keeping multiple tight ends for those heavy-set packages. And Ishmael, this dude is a matchup nightmare waiting to happen. Long, physical, and able to play that hybrid role between wide receiver and tight end. If the Raiders really want to get creative on offense, and trust me, with Chip Kelly calling the shots, they will. Ishmael could be the kind of chess piece that opens things up in unexpected ways. As we move closer to that top 50, the names start to get more familiar, more relevant to game day. Zamir White, for example, is sitting just outside my top 53. That might surprise some folks, especially considering he's shown flashes in previous seasons. But that's just how competitive this roster has become. The addition of Ashton Jenney and the presence of other running backs fighting for touches have made the backfield a straight-up war zone. And then you've got guys like J.J. Pegas and Tonka Hemingway, players drafted in the later rounds, but with the upside to become rotational contributors or even more if they hit their stride. One player I want to highlight in this tier is Aidan O'Connell. Last season, he was arguably the most steady quarterback on the roster, even if the team around him was chaotic. Now he's competing for that backup spot behind Geno Smith. And say what you want about Geno, but if you're trying to groom a young quarterback and build long-term consistency, having a guy like O'Connell as your number 2 is a smart move. He's got the IQ, he's got the poise, and with the right coaching, I believe he can stick in this league for a while. Now let's get into that middle off epic range players ranked between 30 and 50. This is where things get tough because you're looking at guys who either have starting potential or already play meaningful snaps. Devin White is one of those guys. He's got a ring, he's got speed, he's got leadership, but consistency has been an issue. So while he has all the tools to be top 20 on this list, he lands a little lower because of those questions. And then there's Alex Kappa, a veteran lineman who when healthy is a stabilizing force. But again, health and scheme fit matter, and with new systems being implemented, there's always uncertainty about how these veterans will adapt. Cody Lindenberg and Amari Gaynor are to more names. I want to point out, Gaynor especially has caught my eye in camp reports. His ability in coverage as a linebacker gives him a unique edge, especially in today's NFL, where defending tight ends and running backs out of the backfield is more important than ever. If he can stay consistent, he could be one of those surprise contributors who ends up being much more important than anyone expected. When the season kicks off, around the late 20s and early 30s, you start to see a clear separation in talent. Thomas Harper, Charles Snowden, and Lucky Fotu are all right on the edge of being full-time contributors or situational specialists, but it's guys like Dante Thornton Jr. and Jack Beck that have people talking. These rookies bring energy, explosiveness, and that hunger to prove themselves. Thornton especially, man, when we interviewed him, you could see it in his eyes. This kid believes in himself. He's got the size, speed, and raw athleticism to become something special. If he can polish the route running and earn the trust of the coaching staff, don't be shocked if he ends up starting by midseason. Daniel Carlson lands at number 24, and honestly, that might even be too low. The guy's been automatic for years now. One of the most consistent kickers in the league and a legit weapon in tight games. Isaiah Polamau and Elandon Roberts are guys I expect to be rotational pieces, but key ones nonetheless. Polamau especially in sub-packages, where his range and physicality can shine. And now we enter that top 20 where every player matters, every snap counts, and every mistake is magnified. These are the guys who will determine whether the Raiders are playoff contenders or picking in the top 10 again. Tyree Wilson is one of the biggest wild cards. The talent is undeniable, the frame is freakish, and the potential is sky high. But it's all about putting it together consistently and staying healthy. If he does, he could explode. Dylan Parham comes in just behind him, and I'll be honest, I'm a believer. This guy is tough, versatile, and can play multiple spots across the offensive line. That kind of flexibility is invaluable in the NFL, especially when injuries hit. Then there's Jacorian Bennett, the best corner on the roster last year and a player who, if healthy, could be a top-tier defensive back. I've got him at 19 because of injury concerns, but the ceiling is definitely higher. Darian Porter, Michael Mayer, Eric Stokes, they all round out this stretch with unique skill-specific roles and real upside. Trey Tucker, DJ Glaze, and Jermaine Pratt coming next. Tucker is a speedster with growing confidence. Glaze is the offensive lineman the front office clearly believes in, and Pratt is the best linebacker on the roster bar none. And if you're wondering who makes up the rest of this top tier from number 12 to number 1, you better buckle up, because we're about to get into the elite, the playmakers, the names that define this franchise. We've officially reached the top of the mountain, elite tier, the top 12 players on the Las Vegas Raiders roster heading into the upcoming season. And let me tell you right now, if your favorite player isn't on this list, it's not personal. These rankings are based on production potential, positional value, and how much of a difference I believe these guys will make for this team when the season is on the line. These aren't just good players. These are tone setters. These are game changers. These are the guys who'll carry the Raiders if they're going to make a serious push in 2025. Kicking off the elite dozen is Adam Butler. I truly believe he's one of the most underappreciated guys on this entire roster. He's not flashy, he's not all over the highlight reels, but he just does his job and does it well. He plays with grit, with technique, and brings a veteran presence to that defensive line. In a rotation that's trying to find its identity, Butler is the glue guy. He holds it down on the interior and makes life easier for the edge rushers and linebackers behind him. That's the kind of impact that doesn't always show up in the stat sheet, but it absolutely shows up on film. At number 11, it's Malcolm Koonce. Coming off an ACL injury, he signed a one-year deal worth $12 million, a clear sign that the team believes in his ability to bounce back strong. And if he returns to his 2023 form, this ranking might be too low. His burst off the edge, his ability to disrupt the quarterback, and the way he consistently pressures offensive tackles make him a crucial part of this pass-rushing unit. People forget how effective he was before the injury. Don't be surprised if he comes back even more explosive with something to prove. Then we step into the top 10, and it starts with Jeremy Chinn. This man is going to be a sneaky candidate to lead the team in tackles. While some fans were panicking about not bringing back Robert Spillane, I actually see Chinn as the perfect replacement. He's versatile, aggressive, and reads the game at a high level. Whether he's lining up at safety or coming into the box as a hybrid linebacker, he brings the kind of physicality and instinct that this defense needs. He's got that sidle and a Tazadiling range and a nose for the football, which is exactly what you want when trying to contain explosive offenses. Jakobi Meyers checks in at number 9, and honestly I considered putting him even higher. The man didn't drop a single pass last season, not one. He's reliable, crisp in his routes, and knows how to get open. That's not something you teach, it's something you develop over time, and Jakobi has mastered it. Over the past few years, he's quietly racked up 7 catches per season on average. And now with an actual quarterback under center, he might finally get the national respect he deserves. This dude is a chain mover, a red zone threat, and a true professional. Every offense needs a guy like him. Coming in at number 8, it's Christian Wilkins. Look, I know there are concerns about that foot injury. I get it. But this list is based on full health projections, and if Wilkins is healthy, he's an absolute beast in the trenches. The Raiders didn't bring him in to just be solid, they brought him in to dominate. He's a disruptive force on the interior, and when he's locked in, he can completely wreck an offensive game plan. Double teams don't scare him. He's got the power, the leverage, and the motor to collapse the pocket and stuff the run. If he can bounce back strong, this defense becomes way more dangerous. At number 7, it's Jackson Power Johnson, or as the locker room likes to call him, JPJ. This guy is a dog. One of the nastiest, most physical linemen in college football. And that mentality is already translating at the pro level. He's the kind of center who doesn't just want to win a rep. He wants to punish the man across from him, and that's exactly the kind of mindset the Raiders need up front. Pete Carroll and John Spytek have made it clear they're building this team in the trenches. And JPJ is going to be a cornerstone of that vision. He's young, hungry, and already playing like a veteran. If he stays healthy, I fully expect him to become a top 10 center in the league and probably even higher. Number 6 is Geno Smith. I know some of you are still unsure about Geno, but I'm here to tell you he can absolutely be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. When he's protected and in rhythm, the dude makes plays. He's got the arm, the touch, and the decision-making to lead this team. The issue in the past hasn't been Geno, it's been the pieces around him. But now he's got a solid, elite, dynamic weapons and a coordinator in Chip Kelly, who knows exactly how to put him in situations to succeed. Geno's story is one of resilience, of proving the doubters wrong time and time again. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if this ends up being his best season yet. At number 5, we've got Colton Miller, the anchor of this offensive line. Still waiting on that contract extension, but make no mistake, he deserves every dollar. He's one of the most consistent left tackles in the league, and his ability to neutralize top-tier edge rushers is a massive asset. Without him, this offense doesn't function. He's that important. There's a reason why teams are built from the outside in, and Miller is a prime example. He's reliable, tough, and brings leadership to a young offensive line group. The Raiders better lock him up long-term, because guys like him don't grow on trees. Now here's where it gets fun. At number 4, it's Ashton Jeanty, the rookie running back drafted 6th overall. This kid is electric. Vision, burst, balance, receiving ability, he's got the full package. I genuinely believe he has top 5 running back potential right out the gate. He runs with patience, but when he hits the hole, he explodes through it. And the Raiders are clearly planning to feature him heavily. If you're playing fantasy football, stash this name early, because Jeanty is going to put up serious numbers. And with Chip Kelly dialing up the offense, expect a lot of creative ways to get him involved in both the run and pass game. Coming in at number 3, and I can already hear the haters, it's A.J. Cole. Yes, a punter, but not just any punter, the best punter in the entire NFL. Statistically, A.J. Cole isn't just elite, he's arguably the greatest of all time. And I know that sounds crazy, but go look at the numbers. Look at the net average, the inside effectivity rate, the hang time. He flips field position like no one else, and that matters. It changes games. It puts offenses in bad situations and gives the defense an edge. So yeah, maybe it's unusual to rank a punter this high. But this list is about dominance at your position, and A.J. Cole is absolutely dominant. At number 2, it's the face of the franchise, Max Crosby, the heart and soul of this defense, voted the 4th best edge rusher in the league by his peers, and for good reason. Max is relentless. He plays every snap like it's his last, and even when he's banged up, he never comes off the field. He's not just a pass rusher, he's a tone setter, a leader, and the kind of guy you build a team around. There's a reason why his jersey is all over Allegiant Stadium. The man is a warrior, plain and simple. But as good as he is, he lands just short of the number 1 spot, and that's where things get spicy. Because at number 1 we've got Brock Bowers, the rookie tight end out of Georgia, who in my eyes is already the best at his position in the entire league. Yeah, I said it. Better than Travis Kelce, better than George Kittle, better than Mark Andrews. He's that good. His route running, his hands, his ability to break tackles, it's all elite. And the way the Raiders are planning to use him, it's going to be scary. He can line up in the slot, in line out wide, hell, even in the backfield if needed. He's a mismatch nightmare for any defense, and his upside is limitless. The fact that he was voted the number 1 tight end by his NFL peers before even playing a single pro snap tells you everything you need to know. If this franchise had to choose between keeping Bowers or Crosby long-term, it would be one of the toughest decisions ever. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could become one of the most stunning developments of the NFL offseason, whispers around the league suggest that superstar wide receiver Tyreek Hill may be preparing to leave the Miami Dolphins and join the Las Vegas Raiders. Though nothing has been confirmed, sources close to this situation indicate that conversations have taken place behind closed doors, and the idea of Hill donning silver and black is gaining traction. Rumors began circulating earlier this week when Hill was spotted in Las Vegas alongside several Raiders players during what was described as an informal gathering. While off-season hangouts are common among NFL athletes, this particular meetup has set social media on fire with fans and insiders speculating about what might be unfolding behind the scenes. Fueling the speculation, Hill recently made cryptic comments during a podcast appearance mentioning that every chapter has its end and that the next one might be even wilder. He also praised Raiders quarterback Aidan O'Connell and seemed particularly enthusiastic when discussing the team's new offensive system under head coach Antonio Pierce. Those close to the player claim Hill has been intrigued by the idea of becoming the face of a franchise, something that may be more possible in Las Vegas than in the already star-studded Miami roster.